My name is David Kinman. I'm VP of Integration for Verge Motorcycles. I'm responsible for test and validation and certification. My background is primarily attribute management and attribute validation. Worked in the industry just over a decade. Been with Verge for a few years now. Managed to catch the tail end of the Gen 1 and been on the Gen 2 since inception. What intrigued me about this bike compared to the rest of the industry is obviously the eye-catching motor. Right? It's what it gets everybody at the start. And then you kind of understand a little bit more about the features that are class leading on this product. The CCS charging, the 400 volt architecture, the motor. So all of these things attracted me to the brand. And that's what initially captivated me. We're in the Outrigger facility adjacent to IDIADA. I'm obviously here representing integration. We have a lead technician, we have a software guy, and after sales are also here supporting. So this team is effectively doing performance verification work to ensure that the bike complies with our internal targets ahead of progressing to certification. What we're also doing while we're here is a jury evaluation of the bike to gather subjective feedback from key stakeholders. In that process, we also take objective measurements. So we measure things like brake force, stopping distance, acceleration, and we use all of those data points to correlate what the subjective feedback is from the riders to objective data which we can actually measure and then quantify and calibrate against. That ultimately allows us to confirm whether our vehicle is meeting the requirements we want. It also means that we can target and aim to achieve class-leading results rather than just going for the certification requirements themselves. Test and validation process basically is ensuring the vehicle performs to the requirements which we've set, and also that it's going to eventually be compliant when we go through the certification testing. So it's essentially just verifying the vehicle meets the requirements that were set at the start of the program, and that it meets the product definition as well. IDIADA test track is world-renowned for being class-leading for a facility. It offers all of the dynamic platforms and tracks that we could want to do our development and validation activities. But we actually partner with a company called Outrigger, and they sit just on the outskirts or adjacent to the IDIADA test track. They offer us the kind of flexibility and approach we need with the long hours and the late nights to get the job done. We don't have the constraints of working directly in the site. So yeah, it just gives us the freedom we need to be able to operate. So the bike behind me is the second generation TS Pro. We've obviously released our first generation a couple of years ago. We've taken some of the feedback from our customers and also from our engineering teams to improve the product. So what you see behind me, we've gone through quite a few various chassis changes and also powertrain improvements. So we've got improved straight line stability and mid-corner stability. We've achieved that through increasing the rake angle. To compensate for the increased rake angle, which would ultimately result in a shorter or wider turning circle, we've actually increased the steering angle. So the combination of the two has allowed us to have some improvement at moderate and high speed while also improving the low speed maneuverability. Those tight turning circles required us to improve our throttle characteristics and throttle response. We've done that by changing the technology that we use for the motor positioning. So that basically means our initial roll on the throttle is now a lot smoother, both from 0 to 10 kph, but also when you're actually at speed, rolling on that throttle is now a lot smoother. There's no kind of backlash or clunk, just nice, linear. Exactly what you input is what you get out. We've also changed the motor. As you know, we've now got the Gen 2, which is a carbon fiber rotored motor. The biggest upgrades from the Gen 1, in my opinion, is the dynamic performance of the vehicle. The increased rake angle with the increased steering angle has really helped the chassis. The agility and drivability of the motorcycle has greatly improved. We've reduced 50% of the unsprung mass from the rear wheel. That basically means the left to right flickability is a lot better. It changes direction far greater than the Gen 1 does. And from a drivability point, because we've got that lighter motor and less inertia, when you roll on the throttle, crack the throttle, it picks up and responds a lot quicker, similar to what you'd expect in like a lightweight flywheel in a clutch. We've also improved the ergonomics. We've raised the handlebars up a little bit and brought them closer to the rider. We had a lot of complaints about stretched out arms and complaints about preference. So we've managed to account for that, and that also with the increased steering angle has given it a lot nicer feel from an ergonomic point, and it meets a lot more of our consumers' body shapes, the right kind of placenta. We've got a big technology uplift, so we've now gone to fully in-house HMI and a fully in-house dash. So all of the information is presented in a nice, neat fashion. We don't use any third-party hardware in relation to that. It allows us to do things that are a lot more customizable. It's more in keeping with the brand, technology-forward business. The characteristics of the bike now have fully changed. We used to have this, the Gen 1 was kind of a commuter bike with this brutal power and didn't really know its full identity. The Gen 2 now, it takes all of that kind of commutability, the nice agile maneuverableness, but then combines it with the stability you would want as a kind of canyon carver or a highway cruiser. So yeah, the bike all round has improved greatly. We have managed to make some significant leaps forward without too much compromise. So yeah, we're happy with the product. This performance verification and certification trip's been pretty extensive. A lot of late nights, but the team's really come together to develop something great, and we've got a class-leading electric motorcycle, which is great to see it all finally come to fruition and be tangible. So ultimately, we hope when the customers get it in their hands, they're as happy with it as we are.